Hey everyone, Mark Hoy here from Knockbreda Parish Church, and welcome back to the next in our series of Life in Lockdown. And I'm joined by two people, Jack and Jackie Mays. How's it going?
All right, thank you. Yes, good.
Fine, thanks. Fine, thank you.
Well, obviously you're no strangers to Knockbreda, but for anybody who isn't familiar with each of you, why don't you give us a wee introduction as to who is Jack and Jackie Mays?
Well, I'm Jackie. This is Jack. So we've been at Knockbreda now for 40 years. Wow. This is in our 41st year, I think. We joined after we got married. We came here to Knockbreda, so we've been here, 40 years. Celebrated our 40th wedding anniversary in September.
Wow.
Yeah, still here, still sitting beside each other. Yeah.
It wasn't covered. It wasn't covered in the Good Friday Agreement. Sorry, that's just a wee joke.
Well, tell us. Obviously, we're in a bit strange days at the minute, but when we're not in lockdown, what is Jack and Jackie typically doing in a normal everyday?
Well, I suppose we do a lot of partying, a lot of discoing, things like that, but
That was before I hurt my leg. But,
no, just the usual everyday things that, seeing family, going to church, all the usual things everybody does, that seeing people face to face.
Well, I'm retired now, have been for 5 years. At the end of this month, it'll be 5 years. And I sort of said to myself two things. Don't lie in bed beyond 9 o'clock and don't watch the TV during the day. And basically I've followed that. So what I miss is not being able to get into B&Q. I mean, it was a lifeline, B&Q in Sainsbury's. I lived there when I retired, but I don't go now because I'm not prepared to queue up,
Yeah.
But the main thing that happened really to our lives in that 5 years that I retired was the grandchildren arriving, and that's been just such a blessing and such a joy, Mm-hmm. So it's great that we're not able to spend the time with them at the minute. That's the one, I would say that's the worst aspect of this for people who have grandchildren and either only see them online or as we see them through the window of the house. It's very, very hard, and would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been the main thing I think for us. Yeah, the grandchildren.
Absolutely. Now, Jackie, people will recognise you from Shake, Rattle and Rhyme. So tell us a wee bit about that, and tell us a wee bit about your involvement in Knockbreda.
Well, Shake, Rattle and Rhyme. I'm sure more people see me now because of the videos that we've been taking for all the mums and dads and grandparents and stuff. So no, it's been really good. We started it around, I think it was about 2016. It was part of a initiative by the diocese. We were focusing that year on community, church and children. And Ruth Thompson and I decided that we'd maybe start this little group, Shake, Rattle and Rhyme. And I remember the first January morning, we were wondering would many people come, and I think we had about 10 people. So it's really grown over the years, and some weeks we have 70 parents and children there. So, I mean, it's really great, and it covered then the two things, the children and the community, and we really just wanted to have just a place for families to come to that they would feel welcomed and be part of the community as well. And we felt it'd be a good thing for us to be able just to share our faith there as well, just by what we do and what we say. And I think everybody seems to really enjoy it. So I've been really enjoying that. And in fact, I think when we first started, I thought maybe it'll last about a year. But we've sort of watched children from babies, right to go into nursery and then school, so it's been really lovely. Really enjoyed it. And I'm also involved in the Sunday school and home groups and the prayer meeting. Yeah, so just normal church life, really. Yeah, it's been good.
Great. I remember that the first time I saw Shake, Rattle and Rhyme, I saw it just through the window of the door, and I looked at it and I had no idea what I was watching. What is
It is a bit
going on?
bad at times and very noisy.
Yeah, but it was great. It was great. And Jack, what about you? Tell us a bit about your involvement in Knockbreda other than your famous barbecuing.
Well, I'm involved in a few things in Knockbreda, but the main thing from my point of view is Sunday school. I came to know the Lord in 1974, and I was in Christchurch in Lisburn, and the curate in Christchurch was Sam McComb, and he heard that I'd made this step in my life, and he came up to the house, and he said to me, Jack, would you be interested in teaching a Sunday school class? Now, that's quite unnerving. Even though I was 24 at the time, it was quite unnerving. He says, no, just come in. You can sit in with, sorry, I better not mention the bloke's name in case somebody's related to him. But so I sat in with this person, and these were boys who were 14, 15 years of age, all boys, no girls. And there was about 7 or 8 of them. And this person never came back. So I was literally thrown in at the deep end. And in 1974, I'm not saying there wasn't, there obviously was, I had no teaching materials. So I had to do the lessons. I still have them. They're all written out with a fountain pen. I still have those lessons. Anyhow, that was taken forward. And whenever we joined Knockbreda, I asked the superintendent, who used to be my boss, did they need a teacher? And he said, yes, come along. So, you know, it's a lot. Now it's been a bit disjointed over the last year for various reasons, but basically to me, that is the most important thing in my life in Knockbreda, is involvement in the Sunday school, because it's been the past 8 years, there's been some very, very special children have gone through the system, as it were, and it's wonderful to be able to share the gospel with children, especially children who actually ask you a question as well, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what means the most to me. Yeah.
That's great. That is great. So you're both very involved in the children's ministries, really, in the church. That is great. Tell us a wee bit, just over the last few weeks or months, some of the things that have helped you deal with the circumstances that we're in. Is there anything in particular from the Bible that has helped you, or what springs to mind when you think of things that you've really turned to?
Yeah, well, funny enough, I was just thinking about that the other day, and I think there's a verse in the Bible that really helped me, and it's from Lamentations chapter 3. And it tells us that because of the Lord's great love, that we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail. And they are new every morning, and great is your faithfulness. And I think for me, it's important just to face like one day at a time, and not to look too far ahead, because God gives us new mercies and grace every day. And if we try to look too far ahead, I think we can become, overwhelmed about what lies ahead, because we don't really know. And also just to remember that we are more loved by God than we could ever imagine, and he's there all the time. And that, I think that's the thing for me. I just try to sort of look at each new day. And I think that makes it easier than trying to think of the weeks and months ahead as well.
Yeah.
So that has helped me. Yeah.
Wow.
I used to be still am, I suppose, to a certain extent, in a project across from Forestside called Breda Centre. Mm-hmm. And basically it was an outreach to people involved in the cults, and but the man that started it he was a vet in Carryduff, but he was a preacher, Jim McCormick, wonderful Christian man. Mm-hmm. Sort of man, he was in the room, you didn't want him to leave. He was wonderful. And I remember him saying to me, Jack, what did you get any nuggets today? He was talking about gold nuggets, digging for nuggets in the Bible. And I've found I find any time I hear when the Bible's read, or when I hear preaching from yourself or Bill or whatever, I find it always uplifting or challenging, and I can't specifically point to something over the past 6-7 weeks which has changed my life, because they all are building up. They're all adding cement to the wall, as it were. And there's a few things, you know, I mean, I remember speaking to Bill about bringing out about Psalm, what was it? I hope I've got the right one, 54, 94, that was said as Jesus was going into Jerusalem, and yourself about the blood and the water. And I remember talking to you about the wrath of God and how serious our sin is before a holy God. And, you know, it came out a wee bit in Deuteronomy in the Sunday morning about the need, the way the Israelites, you know, they're up and down, they went away from God, they come back to God. And it's so important, I think Jackie was getting at this as well, it's so important to stay close to the Lord. And I'm looking at Daniel at the minute, and, you know, the ultimate bit of faith so far are the three, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who refused to go the way of the world, and they ended up in the fiery furnace. You know, and it strikes me that, you know, everything that you get from the Bible is there for a purpose, and it builds you up. If it's not building you up, then I think there's a problem, you know, and the problem will not lie with the Lord, it'll lie with you. So I've just been keeping going. I can't say, well, like that verse transformed me over the past 6 or 7 weeks. It's been just a continuing thing going on with my Christian walk. So there.
Fantastic. Yeah, that is great. Well, why don't we sum up everything we've talked about, and for people who are tuning in and hearing what you're saying, if you were to sum it all up in a piece of advice for people that might help people through these weeks and months and so on, what would your one piece of advice be?
Well, I was thinking too, there's a verse in Philippians chapter 4, verse 6, and it does tell us, don't worry about anything, but in your prayers, ask God for what you need, always with a thankful heart. And I think it's just remembering that God is faithful. And he said that ask and you will receive, seek and you'll find. And I think that's, you know, just to have faith in God, to trust, put your trust in him, and he'll sort it all out for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would concur with that, and I would agree with it as well. But no, I mean, I think, you know, we do have, especially at this time, it's all about trusting in God. But we talk about this time. It really is the same all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, these are different circumstances, but even if we're not in these circumstances, it's still a matter of trusting the Lord with your life and going forward. You know, so yeah, I would be happy to go along with that verse as well.
That's a relief, let me tell you.
I had to say that one.
I'm kicking him here under the table.
I can see it. That's great. Well, look, thanks so much for joining us. It'll be great for people across the church to see and hear from you both, and to see that you're both surviving and getting through these weeks. So thanks so much for joining us. And we'll be back next
week. Okay.
Yep, pleasure. We'll be back next week.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Right, God bless. Bye.
We'll be back next week with our next edition of Life in Lockdown. See you soon.